Katie here from Equestrian Movement. Today we're going to talk about how we use pressure release in our holistic horse handling program. It will look a little bit different to what you're used to seeing. So if we want to talk theoretical, we're going to talk about pressure release, we're going to talk about animal behavior training, we're going to talk about what is actually going on and how we mess up pressure release so much when we work with it. So when we're doing pressure release, quite often we can accidentally make pressure release a conversation around submission, power over, dominance. I'm the bigger, badder bully. Sometimes pressure release can very quickly and accidentally move into positive punishment if we're not paying attention to what we're doing and checking in with our own emotional and nervous state. So the question is, are you training pressure release, or are you having a power over conversation and antagonizing conflict? And so this is pretty challenging because quite often this is how we get taught to use pressure release, is that if your horse doesn't respond to the pressure, then they're being naughty, and so you have to push them into the behavior. You have to get bigger, you have to get stronger, you have to get more assertive and make it happen. But there's plenty of reasons why our horses might not respond to pressure the way that we anticipate them and that they should. Well, we think that they should. But what we really want to be able to do is differentiate between the fact that our horse's responsibility to the ask and our cueing is separate to the conversation of who's giving direction and who's taking direction conversations. So at its core, pressure release is negative reinforcement. So if we're talking about cueing and communication, we're talking about how we're going to guide the horse into the behavior, how we're going to mark the behavior, and how we're going to motivate them to do it again. So with negative reinforcement, we're guiding the horse into the behavior by using an aversive, so halters, bridles, whips, legs, some kind of pressure tool, and we're using that to guide them into the behavior that we want. The release of pressure marks the behavior that we want, but it's also designed to motivate them to do it again. Relief from pressure, however, isn't particularly motivating, so that can be where we get unstuck when it comes to using pressure release in training, is that the relief from the application of pressure isn't particularly motivating to our horse unless it becomes really uncomfortable. And so then we can end up escalating the pressure to the point of discomfort where it accidentally tips over to positive punishment just to get other response that we're looking for from our horse. And then we end up building in a negative relationship to the tools that we're going to use with our horse to create these pathways of communications. We build resentment into the whip. We build fear. We build fear of pain. And then we're going to have a horse that is reactive and spooky, or shut down, or intolerant towards these aids and these cues because they're anticipating pain and punishment from them instead of seeing them in what we're trying to use them for, which is actually a way of talking to our horses. So we do it a little bit differently. We use our tools for negative reinforcement, for pressure release as part of a conversation. We ask for consent first. We want our horses to have relaxation. We ask for consent to use them. We get relaxation while they are being touched with the tool so that they're not anticipating the ask. They're slowing their brain down and waiting for the ask and figuring out what the correct answer is before we use them. And then we're going to use different ways of guiding them into the behavior. So with regard to what we're doing here with moving the hindquarters, we're also using the halter pressure to help guide them into what the correct answer is. And I'm also using some body language tools with how I'm moving my body to cue into the horse the kind of response I'm looking for. So we don't want every conversation around negative reinforcement and pressure release to become this conflict-based submission or you're a naughty horse conversation. We want there to be understanding in the cue that the adverse of the tool is just designed to help guide them into the behavior that we're looking for, and then how are we going to let them know that that was the desired behavior, and then how are we going to motivate them to do it again. That conversation is separate to the conversation of if you can give your horse direction, your horse can take direction, and if they follow your lead. Those skills are separate. That is our compassionate leadership skills, and that has more to do with how we show up for our horses on a consistent basis, how we create a relationship with them where we build safe to relax, trust and confidence in us, and build our skills in language and communication so that our horse understands what we want from them, so we can give them more clear directions. Being able to show up for our horse as a compassionate leader is how we are going to be able to navigate the really big challenges that we are looking to achieve with our horses when we want to go out to obstacle days, shows, competitions, trail rides. It's nothing to do with how strong and effective we are with regard to bullying our horses into certain behaviours through pressure. When we can connect and work together as a team, we create a willing horse that enjoys learning and asks to be ridden. And so the horse just learns that they can use this tool as a way of communicating with us and us communicating with them. Until next time, happy trails.